Hello, Ginger Buddha. Welcome back to
Hello,
the pod. Thank
my
you for being
favorite
here.
podcasting buddies. Hi. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited about today's episode.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for joining us. And thank you, of course, for being the Rebellious Magazine for Women childcare correspondent at the
Thank you.
Democratic National Convention 2024 in Chicago.
Thank you very much. It is a new title that I am very comfortable with, very excited to carry. Was a little awkward talking about it when people would put me on the spot for it, but felt very honored to have the role and certainly have screamed and yelled all about it since I have been home. So it was I feel I can't help but think that like I just happened to be in the right place at the right time because I was sitting beside you when you got the email about getting the credentials. And so we got to do it, but I mean, we agreed to do it and like we talked about it before the switcheroo.
Oh, yeah.
So you
Oh,
invited me and I was like, yeah, that could be cool. Yeah, I mean, sure.
right.
If it's not raining, yeah, I'd love to go.
Exactly.
Like, and then switcheroo happened, and it was like, holy, I can swear, right? Yeah, holy
Oh,
fuck. I don't know
please.
why I asked. Oh my God, my brains are spaghetti and eggs right now. Spaghetti and eggs.
Yeah.
What?
Perfect Oh, combo. Okay, wait. So before we get started, for people who don't know,
Stop me, please.
so for people who don't know, so Karen, can you explain what happened? Because everybody, to catch you up, Karen and Tori spent last week at the Democratic National Convention in Chicago. I have not spoken with either of you at all, not one peep, other than like one text from you, Karen, that was like, it was amazing. So, but you ended up going because you got press credentials for Rebellious Magazine. So, can you kind of talk us through, like, so that listeners understand, like, how did this happen? When did this happen? All listen. of the things.
I'm so sorry. I thought you guys talked about it in the intro, and I
Oh,
just
it's
jumped
fine.
right in here. I'm
No,
so
it's
sorry.
okay.
I
Oh, no.
gave
No,
it
no,
all
no. We
away.
probably will talk about it in the intro also. So,
Okay.
here we go.
So, I mean, it really is the damnedest thing. And hats off to the press scout for the Democratic National Campaign Committee or the senatorial, whoever this was that reached out to Rebellious Magazine for Women to ensure that we got credentials, both for the DNC and the RNC. So, yeah, and we
Hell
got four
yeah.
passes. So, Michelle Duster, who's a columnist for us, went to the RNC in Milwaukee. If you've not read her piece on rebelliousmagazine.com, highly recommend.
So funny.
She's got a lot to say. Progressive Black woman from the South Side of Chicago at the RNC in Milwaukee. And then, yes, she also went to the DNC. Hopefully, by the time this episode comes out, I will have edited and posted her piece. But it was me, Tori, Michelle, and Lori Finelli, the world's best fucking
Oh
photographer
my
there
God.
is. And yeah, Michelle went to more than we did. So a little bit about the setup. If you're familiar with Chicago, during the day at McCormick Place, there were caucus meetings, the disabled caucus, the Black caucus, Asian AAPI caucus, all the people met. Rural caucus, I guess Gwen Waltz spoke at that, met during the day at the McCormick Place. And then at night was what you saw on television, which was, unless you were watching C-SPAN, I guess, during the day. At night at the United Center were the marquee speakers, which is what Tori and I and Lori went to.
Unbelievable. Oh my gosh. I mean, talk about the hottest ticket in the world. Like, I seriously was so jealous. I was thinking about the two of you all week long. I was like, how is this going? What is it like? I have not spoken with anyone who was actually in the building. Like, it was like, I mean, oof, like, tell us, please. Like, I know that you two did not go to Monday night, which that was the night where Hillary was there and was it Joe? Like that was like his
Oh,
night,
yes.
Joe's night
It's
or
Hillary
whatever?
and Joe and Jill.
Okay. Okay.
Um, yeah. And I
Okay.
think one thing I will say across the board is I mean, I'm pretty nerdy when it comes to a lot of the people, like a lot of these people that we saw, and like when we talk about who did we get to bump elbows with, like my list is pretty nerdy. Um, but the number of people that speak at this thing between the commercial breaks, the early stuff, like people that I would consider a pretty big deal, speaking way before prime time. Like I know I'm specific to Illinois, but Lauren Underwood is for some reason not part of the squad, but was sort of part of it was part of that time, and she is badass, and she was very early on the stage. So there's so many people there, and it was constant. Like the primetime stuff was, obviously like that, but wouldn't you say, Karen, like it was just, weren't you a little surprised by how much there was?
Yes, because I don't know when the broadcast started, but
Mm-mm.
you know, I mean that first night speeches started maybe at 5:30, or I mean, I feel like
Mhm.
starting at like 4:45, 5 o'clock, they're like gaveling in, they're doing the
Mhm.
benediction, and people are speaking. And I agree. I am sad we got there Tuesday night the first time, was the first night we went, and I mean, it was like Keystone Cops, me, Lori, and Tori trying to figure out credentials and all this shit. But like, as we're like wandering around like fools outside the United Center, like Common and Patti LaBelle were on stage, and I was like, oh,
Whoa.
that would have been cool. Okay, well,
Oh
Mhm.
my gosh. I mean, so everyone on television was saying that the energy was truly electric. Did you two feel that? Like, or like, what was the actual feeling in the room? Like, what was it? Did you feel like you were vibrating? Like, that's what I felt like at home, and I was in my PJs.
I think yes. Yes, it was. I think we had a very different experience because we were there as press, and because we weren't on the floor. Lori and Michelle had the opportunity to go on the floor, but because we were there as sort of a more dignified category, we weren't part of the screaming and the yelling and the cowboy hats and the
Oh.
balloons and the cheering, because we're up in the sides. Like the floor and all of the people that you're seeing, some of the delegates were put sort of up in the first skirt of the auditorium, but the next box was like VIP, and where, for anyone who knows the United Center, it's sort of the boxes along the middle. And then above that was where various press went based on credential.
Oh, okay.
So it the energy was electric. There were moments like when we were down, I'm sure we'll get into this, but we were down in like the bowels of the United Center trying to find these specific credentials. And like, there's the speaker's room, and like, whoop, there's the MSNBC room, or there's the what, like, we were in it. And so like, I would look out the vom and see the bright lights and the flashing, and I would get really giggly and like really just all like fit to be tied, and got really giddy at some moments, because there were pockets where we were like, at one point it was just Michael Cohen.
Oh my
He's just right
gosh.
the fuck there. And I never thought in a million years I would say, wow, oh my God, that's Michael Cohen. But he was like, I mean, that far from me. Like we had to move around each other at one point in the basement of the United Center. So yes, the energy was electric. It was so much to absorb that I feel like there were reverberations of it for days afterwards, where I was still sort of absorbing everything we got to see. Care? Would you?
yes, plus one, all of that. And yes, plus one to like not being able to really, right. You're in the press where we had different colored credentials. So people
Mhm.
are, if they wanted to, could see that we're in the media. And I was telling Tori, like, I was in Grant Park when Obama won that first time. And, you're taught as a reporter to be a certain way. And I was just like sobbing. I'm like, you're not going to take away from me that I'm like a Black American with a Black president. Fuck you. Like, yes, I'm doing my job and like whatever. I will also say it was palpable in the sense like that sense of relief, that sense of
Ah,
like, oh my God, like the whole joy thing, like can sound cheesy, but like that is legit. Like there was definitely this air of it was celebratory. It was
yeah.
people were so excited. I do feel like that was not made up for TV. Like that was definitely true.
I should have led with that. I want to be clear. I had an absolutely spectacular time. I smiled the whole time, and the joy was palpable. I mean, at one point we were still walking around figuring stuff out when the roll call started, and I didn't even know until later on the grand fucking discotheque that the roll call was, because we were still trying to like get up and around and find our seats and stuff. But I will ditto Karen on that. Joy was not fabricated. Everything you saw on TV, seeing Gus Walls come up on the
Oh,
jumbotron, like up on the center, we saw it when you saw it, and you could feel it. Like it
oh,
was it. I'm getting chills now remembering it. It was. I can't remember a time I've been, except for maybe the afternoon of November 7th,
Mm.
6th.
in
The
2020.
2016, no.
Oh.
The joy and excitement I felt on the afternoon of the election, like before we went into the, the depths of what was coming, the excitement of what we get to do and the
Mm,
excitement of who we're voting for instead of just voting against something. It was
yes.
so palpable. People were just high-fiving. Everyone was excited. You could see these people that hadn't seen each other in so long, embracing in hugs. I mean, it was, yeah, so I go back on my other answer. Yes, joy pure from top to bottom, pure excitement.
Wow. I'm so happy to hear this. Okay, so one of the things for me as a viewer at home was Michelle's speech. And like, I mean, obviously, but also really though, what? Like that was beyond. How what you two were in the room, right? Like how was that for you? How was that experience? If anyone has not listened to Michelle Obama's speech, please just like turn this off because I've already watched it 3 times and it's like a 25-minute speech. I've spent like quality time of my life watching this speech. So please, what was that experience like for the two of you?
Take it.
I will just say, uh, and I this is an observation of one of my colleagues, that when Michelle walked out with braids with natural hair, it was like, oh shit. Like shit's about to get real. Like this woman has had to look a certain way to be palatable, that word again, right? To middle America. And now she gives zero fucks. And you're about to hear what she really fucking thinks. And
In pants,
oh my, right? Right. Oh my God. And
Yes.
that
in black. Like,
beautiful,
bitch
like,
came out in full fucking.
She
I'm
looked
sorry, Karen.
oh my
unbelievable. Her
God.
outfit,
Yes.
what? Like
The
what?
room changed. Talk about the energy. So
Yeah.
I will say that by this point, Karen and I on Tuesday night had found this really great place to sit. I don't want to spill our beans and get it retroactively and in any sort of situation here, but I will say we found a really great spot to sit for Michelle's speech. And one thing that I found the most interesting, I think, about the entire experience, and I think maybe I noticed it at first with Michelle, I'm not sure, is how the people speaking used the lectern
Mm.
or the microphone and the thing. When she came out, not a sound. Like once the cheering stopped and she like got everybody to stop cheering, like she could command that audience. People would cheer. She would like make a gesture. People would stop. You could feel the energy shift and feel, because she, at the last time we did this, it was when they go low, we go high. And she went so opposite to that. And you could feel like, I'm going to get chills through this whole conversation. It was, I think for me, one of the most stirring moments of the whole week. Seeing her transition, Karen, exactly like what you're saying, from this palatable, barely, but like the cuts of, yeah, my husband and I might know something about that. When she said black jobs, I thought the fucking place was going to explode. It
Oh my.
was
I was
amazing.
yelling at the television
Oh,
the third time I watched it. Like I was like, I mean, that's
I feel like the shift was like, we do not stoop to this level to this motherfucker. Like, I feel
yes.
like she went
I
from
wish he
like,
would. I
yes,
wish he
exactly.
fucking would.
That's exactly right. You
And
just tried the wrong one. I loved it.
yeah, she was, I think that was the energy. She was fresh out of Fox. She was getting to say, and that I wish I had been in the room for Hillary too, because I think I got a lot of the same energy from that. All of the stuff that she could not say, Hillary, I mean, when she came out in that black and purple suit in November of 2016 and had to say, we're going to do this nicely, we're going to do this properly. She's been, endorsing other people and trying to keep this demure. And she
Mm.
and she came out cutting like deep cuts. These women came out with just no apologies, and it was remarkable.
It was her best. Hillary was at her best. Like it
Certainly.
was like, I mean, that speech, I was like, come on. Like, where were you? Like, that's like that. I was just, but also, I don't want to just like be mean to her again because I actually love her and I just, yeah. So,
And there's been all these great TikToks since the convention of like splicing the RNC roll call with the DNC roll call. And one thing I said to Karen, I think I said probably a couple of times, is one thing that you could really notice in all of the speeches were the older politicians or the people that had been in the biz a long time felt very template. It felt like a very templated speech, very powerful, saying all the right things, but came out in the skirt to the knees or the blazer or the whatever, which no shade. But some of these other people, the younger people, came out here leaning on the lectern differently, came out in a different kind of outfit, came out with a one-shouldered situation. Like, you could feel the energy shift. And I found it very interesting. I think that the Hillary that we wanted, this Hillary, but there was no space for this Hillary then.
Yeah.
She
Yeah.
would have been villainized and like just cremated. Like,
You're
she
right.
just couldn't have done this. And now with this open space where we have like Lil Jon and, like, she can come out here and lean on it and, serve these deep cuts because like she got strung up for saying deplorables.
Yeah.
That's like the nicest thing you could say about, like, we're just not there anymore. And I think she and Michelle both get to be these people more acceptably now. They've always been these people. They just get to do it now in front of us.
Yeah, it's so interesting. I mean, okay. So Karen, for you, what was the most surprise? First off, one question, have you ever been to a convention before? And second question, what was surprising about this experience for you? Like the speeches or the experience or anything that surprised you?
Okay, great questions as always. So I have never been, and this is where I admit that I'm a bad journalist, and I don't know that I've ever even watched. I certainly have never watched 3 full days, 5 to 6 hours a day. And so I think the surprising thing was how riveting some people were as speakers. Like that was necessary because you can't sit for 6 hours and listen to a bunch of politicians. Like, I mean, essentially that's what, except for the regular people, you're spending all that time listening to elected officials, right? I mean, hot or not hot, that's what it is, right? And so, they threw in a Mindy Kaling, Gary Washington, thank you very much. So I think that when I think about what's surprising is like this realization that like there is something to charisma. There is something to people who are good speakers. There is something to, like Tori said, like Michelle Obama being able to like command an arena of people, not a room of people where the Bulls play of people. Right. Like, so I feel like it was a good reminder for me about like, oh, right. You can see why some people got into politics because of their ability to message well, to present themselves well, to be articulate about things. Like, unfortunately, that does matter for some people. Some people are able to just be wonks and get away with it. But I feel like it was like, oh, right. Okay. This is why you're a leader of this country. Like, I want to go wherever the hell you're taking us.
Totally. Oh my gosh. Okay. I love that. Like, Tori, what about you? Have you ever been to a convention and or even watched a convention? And what was surprising for you?
I have never been to a convention. I did go and wait in line in the bitter cold for 10 hours to get tickets to Obama's final farewell at the McCormick Center when it happened, because I will spend the rest of my life trying to make up the regret that I have for not going to Grant Park the night he won. So I will go to literally every single other thing I possibly can until then. I think one of the surprising things to me is how there were so many people that I would consider celebrities just walking the fuck about. Just
Oh,
like buying hot dogs, just like the first person that I got to see was Claire McCaskill. She walked just past me as we were leaving the elevator. And I mean, I had to grasp Karen for support. Like I almost flew to go and like right in the home stretch when she lost, I almost flew to go and help like a final push of campaign. I love Claire McCaskill. So to get to just like walk
wow.
past Claire. And then there were people that were like, of course, nerds from some cable news stuff that I watch, but I think it was the regular people of them all. I think that was the thing that was really remarkable. Just the regular people of it all. It really
Yeah.
was, and yeah, I couldn't help but think many, many times, and this, I don't think this surprised me, but it really did. I loved seeing it, that it was so like diverse doesn't even really seem to encapsulate it. It was age and income levels and gender and race and variations of all of those. And it just, and I kept saying, like, being a Democrat's so much fucking fun. This is so fun. So I think that yeah, the regular people of it all, like just really seeing these really just are people. And it's funny, Karen, to tag on to sort of what you were saying about charisma and having great, great luck. I heard on one of my another podcast I listened to this morning that like Tim Walz is such a regular guy. He seems so regular and just whatever. People are looking at him like, oh wow, look at this guy came up out of nowhere. Where'd she find him? He's not really been a part of politics. And he's a fucking governor. Like
Yeah.
he's been doing this for years. He was handpicked. He was but he's just a regular fucking guy. And that was what I think I mean about the regular people, not just seeing them eating nachos and trying not to spill on their suits, but just they wear flip-flops and carry their heels in their hand too.
Yeah.
And they're getting help from people and trip when they're walking on stage too. I think just the job that, I don't know, one of the things I've gotten to absorb and just have taken from this whole new campaign in general is how we're just regular people.
Mm-hmm. Totally. Okay,
Mhm.
so after going to the convention, I would imagine it's like what you said, Tori, about like just getting so excited and all of it. But how do the two of you feel about this election, like for real? Like in your gut, how are you feeling? Because I'll tell you how I'm feeling, which is completely hopeful, so exciting, full on stars in my eyes. I've been that way since the second that Kamala, announced that Sunday in August, or I guess it was July. But how do you two feel? Like after seeing everything live, hearing Kamala speak, like all of it. Like what are your feelings, concerns, conflicts, any of it? Karen, go ahead.
I will just say, Tori introduced me to my amazing realtor, Jenny. I will always have a special place in my heart. And when I bought a house, right? And when my offer was accepted, Jenny said, I advise my clients at this stage to be excited a 2 out of 10. You get to be a 10 when you have the keys in your hand. And that is how I feel about this election. I will feel away when I have the keys in my hand, when we all have the keys in our hands, because anything up until the day of closing, I walked into my closing and my lawyer, who I'd never met before, was on the verge of cursing out the seller's attorney. Right? So like, I feel like 2016 was a really good lesson in not counting your fucking Hillarys before they're hatched.
Yeah.
I feel like
Amazing
I'm not
metaphor.
planning an election night party. I'll tell you that. I'm still like I throwing out my congratulations Hillary cake that night was like one of the most heartbreaking things. I
Ooh.
won't do that again. I feel similarly to Karen. I feel like we put on a really great show. I think that we are really well positioned to do really, really, really well. But I think if I'm being honest, I wish that I wasn't so busy and burned out because I feel like more people need to be involved. I think people are feeling really comfortable just on the excitement on TikTok and inside their little blue bubble.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be really, really close. I think we could absolutely, charisma's great, but it's not going to win this for us. And if we really need to do this, campaigns spend 18 months doing this with years of prep. The day a president is elected, they are working on their reelection campaign. And when this started, I believe we had like 114 days. And I registered someone at my block party the other night. I was there and we were just chatting and someone was like, oh, I heard you were at the DNC. And I was like, yeah. And someone was like, yeah, my husband's not registered to vote. And I just like went and had a conversation and got him registered. And to me in the moment, I was like so excited, but I'm also thinking, are you fucking kidding me? Do you live in a paper bag, sir? Do you have but any fucking idea what is going on out here? So I feel rage. I honestly is part of it, because people are coming to me and saying like, what should I do? What should I do? Or,
Mm.
hey, Tori, what are you doing this time? I feel immense guilt that I don't have more time right now to do things the way I did in 2016. And I just really wish that the people that were regretful last time were stepping up to do more. I wish that I heard it more from people. I'm feeling personally very, very empowered by the convention, and I don't mean to be poo, but having Lil Jon sing, you know, rap "Turn Down for What" is not going to win this fucking election. We need some, we need, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about the, you know, the postcards and the texts, because I hate the text messages,
I
but like, what
know.
else do we do? And so I'm feeling optimistic, cautiously optimistic. I'm at a 2 of 10. I would say I love that analogy. I've not heard that from Jenny before, but I love that. So I think the Democrats put on a great show. And if we can keep this pressure up, I said before, like the greatness from the convention, if we can keep that press through a debate, and then through a VP debate, then through another debate, like if we can keep this press going and keep it fun and keep it joyful, I think we've got a real shot, but we've still got a lot of work to do in a very short amount of time.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
so wild to be living in this type of a historical event. It's like this, we are in an event every day. Like it's like this 87 days or whatever the hell number of days we have, or I don't know what it exactly it is, but like
Mhm.
I mean, I decided that instead of having a election party, I am going to have a debate party. And but the party isn't the right word. Like a gathering of sorts where it's going to be like six of us and there will be bingo cards of like basically like the sayings on the bingo cards of who says what, and if one person says one word during the actual airing of the debate, they're out. Like they are
Oh,
out of my house. I do not want anyone speaking when the debate is happening because I want to see how she demolishes him. And what's interesting is I was having a conversation with some of my family members this past weekend, and like a couple of my family members don't really know Kamala very well or like are not as familiar with her. And
Mhm.
so they were kind of they were like, "Well, I really hope that she does well." And I was like, "Are you kidding me?" I'm like, "Kamala Harris is like the prosecutor of prosecutors. Like she is one of the most well-spoken people on the planet." And but what really got to me was it kind of got under my skin. It wasn't that they were like hesitating about her, but there was like a little hint of doubt. Like, is she gonna do well? And in the debate, and I was like, it kind of like got because I was like, obviously, like she's amazing. Like I can't, and then it kind of like grew a little, and I was like, oh shit. It scared me, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. And I'm not trying to be negative, but it did scare me.
At the end of the day, this is a racist, misogynist country. We're fighting really, really hard for this. And I know that's the, you know, that's not a very joyful thing to say, but, you know, people people think it's weird that we're going to have a first gentleman. People think it's weird that, you know, this, like, it's because it's challenging what they think to be the norm. And it just, you know, would anyone say, oh, I don't know if he can do it, I don't know if he can, you know, if he can get in there. You know, I've heard a lot of commentary about one of the reasons that people think they don't like her was because of the spin she got in 2020 when no one knew what to do with justice. Prosecutor sounded like a really terrible thing at that time. And she got this negative thing. The campaign wasn't, you know, as together. And there were like 735 of them running for president or something. So I think, Katie, you touched on it in a major way, is they don't know her, which
Yeah.
was why there was so much uproar when all the primetime speeches were being pushed so late, because people who don't know them aren't going to wait up to watch people they don't know, and they, you know, missing these time slots of the big speeches. But I I think that that's the major thing, and I think that's what I say when I say I'm feeling like guilty for not doing more. I mean, sitting in here, we're just yelling into this vacuum here, the three of us loving this woman, thinking she is the best, but we are, you know, I had to, honestly, I don't know if I should say this on the pod. I had to unfollow the Pantsuit Nation group that sort of like reignited after she announced, because I don't believe, I don't know, I feel this is so negative. This is not the Ginger Buddha we know and love, but I don't fucking buy it. You can't buy Converse and pearls and steal a dance that is not yours to steal as a white lady in your cul-de-sac. You don't know what you're doing. Stop doing this. This is not a fucking costume party. This is not about the props and your blue flamingos. I love how you're showing solidarity, but you cannot arts and crafts your way out of this election. These are real things that we are talking about. These are real issues, whether it's abortion or school or Project 2025 or any of these. We did not ask. We're here to talk about the convention, not Ginger Buddha's soapboxes on a bunch of shit. I'm sorry.
No, we're here to talk about it all, honestly. And I think
Just
that our real feelings matter in this space.
we have to get uncomfortable. Phone call. I hate door knocking. I hate it. It's so uncomfortable. My anxiety chokes me out almost every time, but I do it because it's apparently what we got to do. I don't live in a swing state. I don't really know, but we have to get uncomfortable. They want us to be comfortable. They want us to be quiet and sitting down, and we have to be uncomfortable. And I mean, white people, white ladies, we
Yes.
need to get uncomfortable.
Yes.
This is not work that can be equally spread over everyone we're counting on here. We have a lot of deficit to make up, and we have a lot of work to do and a lot of listening to do. And I think watching white ladies wearing pink and green with their pearls and trying to do dances and turn them into TikTok dances, like, I don't know who's going to be out here to tell them it's disrespectful. There's some people that have, but like, I don't, I don't know. Like, do we just let them do it and vote and get the rest of their white lady friends to do it? Maybe they can just white lady covert the dance all the way to the voting booth. Maybe do I let that happen and we address it in December? Maybe, I don't know. But I feel a lot of feelings about we can't, balloon drop our way into a victory here. We've got a lot of fucking work to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Karen, thoughts, feelings?
Oh my gosh, so many. And I should have said this disclaimer at the beginning. My views as me as a human being and as the founder of Rebellious Magazine for Women do not reflect the views of my employer, my day job. Yep. If you happen to know where I work at my day job, I just have to give that disclaimer because people are out here going crazy. I will say to the point about the debate performance, all I could think of is that Kamala Harris is of two cultures where women do not play. You want to get into a game of the dozens, or you want to get into a verbal altercation with a Black lady or a Desi lady, good luck to you. Like, every Black man is like, oh, I know why Trump doesn't want to debate her. Like, are you kidding? Like, any Black man married to a Black woman or any Indian man married to an Indian woman, are you fucking kidding? Like, I have no doubt in her ability to be like, again, motherfucker, please. And I will also say, back to this idea of the energy, and maybe it's 4 years of indoctrination from Dr. Tanya Israel, that I have this glimmer of something that this is an opportunity to reset the ugliness of the last however many years, that 8 years, 9 years, if you count the campaign. Like, it's all about insults and belittling people and making people look bad and making fun of people. Like, just the ugliness and the hatred and the bullying and the you win if you push the other person down and kick them while they're down there. Like, I am hoping that this is a way to turn the corner. Like, every time I hear Tanya say it, I just think, I don't know how we reset. Like, look at what the party has become. Like, look at what politics have become. And this is the first time I feel like, okay, maybe people don't actually want that. Maybe people don't just want to be eaten alive by hatred and fear and resentment all the time. Like, that this is a situation where I feel like, okay, maybe this is how we start to get there.
Yes.
And actually have conversations.
I mean, it's like she's leading that path. She's like carving it through the brush. Like, it's like she's, I hope.
Yeah, I saw something today that Kamala has said that if she's elected, she will appoint at least one Republican to her cabinet. And and the 200 former Republican presidential staffers, it's like GW, Bush, like all saying they endorse her. Like, I feel like I just I feel like we got to a place where bipartisanship felt like such a betrayal, but it is the only way we survive. We have to cooperate. I think we've all been watching what happens when you stalemate along party lines. And,
Yeah.
I don't want to compromise my values, but I also want to get some shit done.
Yes. Yes.
I feel like you even mentioning Dr. Tanya Israel calms me a little bit and brings me
Same.
a little bit off of my on fire ledge. So hi, Dr. T. Thank you for your guidance.
Yes, thank you for
Um,
your Xanax by proxy. Like I feel
Yeah. Mhm.
I have a little of that also.
Yeah, DNC annex.
Yes.
I think that you just said something, Karen, that I think is really helpful when we talk about what can we do over the next, I mean, people are starting to vote in a couple of weeks. I think we're down to like 67 days or something like that.
67, yeah.
That it is, I have heard this many, 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 many times. It is not helpful to talk about him. And it's not thoughtful to say about like what he's gonna do. Like it is in some context, but it's not like, oh, he's a this and he's racist and he's old and he's all of these things. People who are on Team Trump or who are undecided don't necessarily care about those things. We've established people know he's a douchebag, but they've decided that that doesn't matter. So the thing that we have to do over the next 67 days or however many days it'll be when this episode goes live is talk about her. One thing they did a really good job about at the convention was the Project 2025. They had that giant book prop, which was so effective because it's giving people like a tangible thing to think of when they reference it. They've talked about how this is broken through on TikTok and this is broken through in all these places. So talking about what she will do and her cabinet will do. They want to build 300 million or 3 million new homes in the next, affordable. They want affordable homes to live in different states. Governor Newsom wants to do it in California alone. He wants to say, stop talking about the word abortion. If you're trying to convince somebody, don't necessarily use the word abortion. She's going to preserve our privacy and she's going to preserve our rights and the way we can talk about our medicine. She's going to save the Department of Education. She's going to fix these sorts of things. They're going to fix, and I think talking about her in a positive as opposed to coming at it in an antagonistic way about saying, well, your guy's a fucking chode, which I would love to say. I'd love to tattoo it on my face, but I won't. Because Dr. T would know, and that's not nice. So I am choosing to try and say, think of these exciting things that they're going to do. Look at what he did. Like, he's this great coach. He's got these great, really well-adjusted, emotionally sound children that are funny. Sorry, I think I got the DNC COVID too, so I'm a little stuck.
Oh no.
Wait, have you tested?
I tested on an expired test, so I don't know if I don't know.
Was it a full-on super spreader? I haven't heard that. I'm sure. Yeah. Karen, are you sick?
Oh no, I have the antibodies still because I had COVID in
right.
June.
Yes.
I'm not as sick as people. I just wanted to note because I feel like I got a little nasally as I went on that rant there. And now I forget what I was talking about. Oh, just talking pro them, not anti him. Like if I never have to say his fucking name again, I will consider myself a lucky lady.
Yes.
And so talking about the greatness of them, sharing that with your community, sharing that with each other, talking about that, because even if it's casual conversation, I've seen this happen with my brother. He doesn't want to, he doesn't listen to the podcast. He doesn't do any of this stuff, but he has become so invested simply because of like random little conversations we've had. He was asking me questions and talking about it with with these other guys in his life. And, it can be organic, but like this us versus them shit is so 2018, guys. Like let's talk about what we're for, not what we're against. And I think it feels more comfortable in our bodies and coming out of our mouths saying it than the other.
I love that. I love that reframe, Tori. I really do, because I feel like it's the old way is tired. Like us just constantly like complaining about this villain. We all know he's a villain. We all know he has a million felonies. Like it's just exhausting. And it's like, okay, that's not getting us anywhere. Like I love the idea that like I love that Kamala is leading with joy and like she is genuinely joyful. That is
unapologetically.
I mean, that is revolutionary. Yeah.
And it's also genius given, I mean, joy and hope are cousins, right? So I
Yes.
think that Obama was able to harness hope, right? I think it's a genius callback. And I also will say there is a part of me that has this fear because who went after Obama? Like, I feel like this country is so, like, we're just so, fickle's not even the word. The American electorate is just a mystery from year to year, even. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah. Someone said to me the other day when they were talking about laughter, like they were talking about her
Mm.
laugh and her joy. Can you even imagine him laughing? Have we ever seen the man laugh?
I mean, maniacally, but
But
not
even that, I
genuinely.
couldn't think of one. Like I
Mm.
smile occasionally, but like not really. It just, I can't even associate joy with them, and I
Mhm.
don't, not them, with aspects of people I disagree with. See how I try? See how I try? Um, Overall, back to the DNC, I would love to say I feel very, very lucky and privileged to have gotten to go and experience this joy and experience this. I mean, the number of people that reached out to me, like anyone who's listening now, I'm sorry if I didn't text you back. There was literally like I couldn't possibly even read all of the text messages I was getting. Are you seeing this? Oh my God, are you there for that? Oh, I think I saw you. Oh my God. You didn't see me. I was gonna go down to the floor on the fourth night, but everybody got locked out and I was too afraid to get locked out in the hallway and I wasn't, so I didn't chance it. But I feel so, so, so lucky to get to go and to get to go with Karen, like, and to get to see what we saw and the experience of getting to leave. Um, which I think Carrie, you posted I don't know if you posted a picture of it, maybe we could post a picture with the episode of Kamala Claus,
Wait, what
walking
happened?
out of,
What was the leaving scenario?
Oh my gosh.
I was desperate for signs all week. I wanted the signs and they pass them out before the certain speaker talks so that everybody has these signs. And because we were up at the top, there weren't as many of them or we weren't getting them in time. And so the third night or the last night of the convention, they had packed so many people in there. I mean, I said at one point we were Democratic sardines. I mean, it was just, it was wild. And so at the end, as we were about to go, there were all these garbage bags of Kamala signs lining up the top that they just hadn't gotten to hand out because there's not enough space even to like move to hand the things out. And I went over and I said to one of the volunteers, like I was pulling some out of the bag and I was like, can I just take one of these bags? And she was like, yeah, saves me from having to carry it down the stairs. So I took this garbage bag of probably when we started 25 signs, hoisted over my shoulder and walked out of the convention hall with this black garbage bag full of the stick signs. And then at one point got to like give them out on the street to the people that didn't get any.
Oh my gosh, you were just, Democrat Santa for the night.
She
DNC
called me
Santa.
Kamala Claus. Yeah.
Yes. Kamala Claus is way better. I
It
love it.
was just, it was an epic experience. It really, really was. And to think that we got to see the history that we did, I think truly hasn't even really sunk in yet.
Wow.
I all of that. And I was thinking about it today, obviously, in preparation for this. And it was like, it's like Comic-Con for political nerds, right? Like, only you, like we said, like running into Claire McCaskill or, oh my God, it's Lisa Madigan, or, it just,
Yeah.
it really was like that. Like you're in a convention center, you're in an arena, and all these politicians are just walking around. And I will say another um like I don't can I call it a highlight? I will call it a highlight because this was very cool. So Tori and I would park. A friend of hers was very kind to let us park. So we, the story I'm about to tell. And so we would take lifts. And the first lift that we took, I think maybe was or the second night, was a black minivan. And, the security perimeter around the United Center, as you can imagine, was very intense. There were police from all over the state, really all over the country,
Wow.
Secret Service agents. As Tori noted, Secret Service agents are hot. Even if you're not into uniforms, They were
Even if you're
every
not for
single
what?
one.
Sorry.
Even these men and these creepy little mustaches, like I was getting a little like flustered.
Like these are, and I could men, but like I was just like, okay, I get it. You're like out of central casting. It's just like, give me a strapping young man in a vest, and you're like, okay.
Rip search me, baby. I mean, don't. That was inappropriate, but you could pat me down. Anyway, Kara, please keep going.
Do you want to
Sorry.
check my fanny pack? Yeah, I mean, so we pull in our minivan, and Tori was like, ooh, somebody. Tori has such a better eye for this because I'm like just looking around, like, I don't know, where's a Diet Coke? And Tori's like, ooh, okay, there's someone very important in the van in front of us. And because we were in a black minivan, we pull in behind this black armored car, right? And Tori clocks that this guy gets out with a camera and is filming the person who gets out. And as it turns out, the person who got out was Congressman Bobby Rush. He was like a legendary figure in Illinois politics. He's the only person
What?
Obama didn't beat, like all of these things, right? And so it was just like, oh my God. And we got to pose for photos. Ooh, where are those photos?
Those photos are in my phone. But I realized it the other day. I was looking through my photos and I have this like hilarious selfie of me with Bobby Rush. Like I was like, I was so excited. It was a
Yeah.
friend of mine called it Oscar night for Uggos. Like it's our celebrities, but nobody's like dressed. People were like wearing sneakers and carrying their fancy shoes. It was very, but yeah, that were you referencing the pull up in the line thing more, or the seeing the Bobby Rush part, or just like
I
the
mean,
wildness of it all?
all of it. Yeah. Just like the getting to like come pull up into an area I feel like maybe lifts weren't allowed to go because we looked official and we were behind Bobby Rush. And yeah, just this,
Mhm.
yeah, like, wow, okay, that happened. Sure.
That's so awesome. Oh my
It was
gosh.
wild. We saw so many. There were a lot of people that we bumped into. I'm 99% sure that I saw Kellyanne Conway.
Whoa.
Yeah, yeah. She's very little, very little.
Wow.
Who else?
Oh, Lori saw AOC.
Oh yeah, she got
Oh,
away from
hello.
AOC.
Oh.
Right when we walked in, we saw Kara, were you standing with me when we saw Gabby Giffords and Mark Kelly?
Oh, yes. Mhm.
Yep,
Don Cheadle.
like right there. Don Cheadle was the first one we saw.
Very tiny man.
Very tiny man. And I saw
Oh,
Cornell Belcher, who's like a huge, like I MSNBC nerded out about Cornell Belcher. He was just standing there eating a fucking hot dog. And I was like, you are a very important person. Why are you just standing there eating a hot dog?
Wow.
Tony Goldwyn. We walked out with him one night.
Oh
Yeah,
my
Tony Goldwyn
gosh.
right in front of us.
Tony
in front of
Goldwyn
us.
is the president on Scandal. Yes, that's
Yes.
oh my gosh.
Yes, Mr. President. Who else? Yeah. It was just miscellaneous. It was
I think
wild.
I feel like Lori also saw Nancy Pelosi. Yeah, the
She did. She
balance
said
of
Nancy
the-
Pelosi had a huge entourage.
Yeah,
I hope so.
I hope so too.
Yeah.
Like I hope so. I
Yeah.
hope she's in a like a glass box walking around. Oof.
That woman who has worn high heels more days of her life probably than I have been alive. It was hurting my ankles to watch her. She is a queen for just so many things, and that.
Wow.
Oh, incredible.
Wow.
It was a
Okay.
wild experience. It was really fun.
That's so awesome. Okay, so any final thoughts? I know we have to wrap up. Any like words of wisdom, Tanya inspired nuggets, or just parting words about the DNC, or just your mental state as a whole going into this election?
In order for it to stay this fun, in order for us to continue to have joy, in order for us to be excited to look at our political leaders, in my case, as celebrities, in order to keep this camaraderie, in order to keep all of these things and this great feeling that we have right now, we've got to make sure she wins. And not just that she wins, but that we win and we hold the House, we hold the Senate, and that we hold the, you know what I'm saying? We have to win them all. We have to do this because we're so close to this slipping through our fingers. And I don't mean to make this sound doomsday, but this can be this fun. This can be great and we can win, but we've got to do more. And if all of us do the littlest bit, like whether that's a phone call, whether that's a go to vote, vote.org, and just make sure you are registered, make sure that your family and your cousins are registered. If you know someone is moved, make sure that they're registered. Like all of these little things if you're anxious and don't want to talk to people, find a postcard, paint a rock and write the words Kamala on it and drop it in your garden. Like truly, it's going to take every single drop of water in this sponge in order to make this happen. And that's what I would like to say. We can keep it this joyful, and we can, as Karen said, this could be our reset. And I think she was spot on when saying, like, if we have a chance, this is it. Because the alternative is just a little bit too dark to even imagine. And I prefer to stay on this tack of joy and celebration and excitement.
Yes. Well said,
Period.
Karen.
Exactly. Oh my gosh, I love that. I will say this. If you are disengaged from politics, if you don't care at all, if you don't think it impacts your life, however, if it gives you the ick, whatever, I would encourage you to not think in absolutes. That life is about nuance. Life is about not cutting off your racist uncle necessarily, though maybe you should. Like, I feel like what I'm getting at is that, like, I feel like I hear a lot of people saying, I don't know about her. She doesn't agree with me on this one thing. And no one is going to agree with you. Nobody in your whole ass life is going to agree with you about everything. And that if absolutes are that important to you, I don't know how you're living. Like, I really, it worries me, this notion that, like, you have to check every single fucking box. And if you don't, then I'm gonna stay home.
Some of
And
y'all out here married people that didn't check all those boxes, and you made life with them. So let's be a little more realistic about our political leaders.
Ginger Buddha 2028. Mic drop.
2028. Thank you, Ginger Buddha, for being here. Thank you, Karen. Thank you both. This has been amazing. We'll see everybody next week.